All right. Welcome everyone to our monthly boot camp. This monthly boot camp we normally do on the first Friday of every month. This month being December, we moved it to the second Friday because of holiday events and stuff like that. But we have lots of stuff that we are going to cover over the next few hours. So I like to start the beginning of every boot camp by just saying that every real estate agent is invited onto our programs. Even if you're with another real estate company, you will get as much out of today's program as an agent that is a LAER agent. So all of our stuff is open to all real estate agents. So with that, we're going to dig into today's program where we start. By the way, if you don't attend the entire program today, you can come back and watch this. We record these programs and you can check out the recording at our YouTube station, which is youtube.com/LAER training. And I'm going to share with you a lot of the stuff that we're going to cover today is in the LAER Program and Services Guide. This is a 40-page manual that our agents use to know like the tools, training, technology. Hold on, I have this really weird thing. Okay, let's see if I can share that now. Okay. Um, I want to share. There we go. Okay, what we're looking at is the LAER Program and Services Guide. This is our 40-page guide of all the tools and resources available at LAER. I like to start the program on this program guide because it has a whole bunch of clickable links as you go through the program. So, as well, a lot of the stuff that we're going to cover over the next few hours has we'll share with you incredible resources from listing presentations to buyer presentations to buyer guides, seller guides, etc. And when you come back later, you can access most of the links we're going to share today right within the program guide. So as you go through the program guide, anytime you see something that's underlined, you want to click on it because that is a hyperlink to more information. We meant for this guide to be interactive. So really quick overview of LAER Realty. We're an independent real estate brokerage originally based out of Massachusetts, but we have expanded over the past 11 years. So we are now located in Mass, New Hampshire, Maine, Connecticut, and Florida. We also do business in Rhode Island, and we are continuing to expand across different marketplaces. And when we originally started the brokerage, our goal was to help every real estate agent become the best version of themselves. So that is why we open up a lot of our training and resources so that they are available to all real estate agents, even if you are not a member of the brokerage. So, where did our name come from? Well, from the beginning, our goal was to help all agents become the best versions of themselves. So, when we started the brokerage, we didn't even have a name yet. And the branding company we were working with to help us create our branding asked what makes a great real estate agent. And we said the best agents are strong. They are negotiators of difficult terrain, just meaning the best agents are just really good at overcoming obstacles. That's the business that we're in, is overcoming obstacles. And the best agents are true protectors of their clients. In other words, they're not working for a paycheck. They're working to help people. And at the time, 11 years ago, when we put all of those words into a Google search, strong, protector, negotiator, the first thing that came up in the Google search was a lion. So we said, that's it. We're going to build our brand around the lions of real estate. In the jungle, lions stick together in layers. And at LAER Realty, we have the lions of real estate. We stick together at LAER. By the way, we changed the spelling of LAER because our LAER is the mirror image of real since we're in the real estate business. And then we created the acronym Local Agents Extraordinary Results. So I tell people sometimes you see lion statues in front of a home or in front of a walkway. That is because the lion is a symbol of protection for the home. We look at it that there's a new symbol of protection for real estate across New England and Florida, and that is our LAER for sale sign. So the first few pages, by the way, you can download this book at laerrealty.com/success tools. You can download this book. We do update it throughout the year, so you can always get the most recent version at laerrealty.com/success tools. Download the PDF version of it. If you're local to a printer in your home office or at your office, you can take notes as we go throughout today's program, because one of the most important pieces that we start every program we do with is that knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. It becomes power when you execute on it. So by spending the day with us or the morning with us, we want to make sure that you go and execute on some of the things that we're going to talk about today. So we want you to turn the potential into business and turn that potential into power. So throughout today, you're going to want to take down notes. We say that you should leave today with 10 things that you're going to go execute on. You'll have no problem finding 10 things. There's probably 50, 60, 70 things you could execute on after you leave today's program, but keep it simple. Write down your 10 things that you're going to execute on and go execute, and then you can come back to the boot camp next month, or you can come back and watch the recording after today's program. So make sure you have a pen and paper out so you can write down your 10 things. Even better, if you're local to a printer near you, you can print out this booklet at laerrealty.com/success tools, print it out, take notes throughout the program, and execute. The first few pages of this book are our cultural values. We have 30 cultural values. I always say if you're shopping for a real estate brokerage, make sure you understand the values of the brokerage you're going to. That way you can make sure they align with your values so you know that you're going to be there for the long haul. It then has a page in here that just talks about the fact that we're an independent real estate brokerage. We're really proud to be independent. It's super rare. If you look at all of the companies that are listed on the Real Trends 500, which is the 500 largest brokerages in the country, typically most of those companies are conglomerates, huge corporations with franchises across the country. We're very proud to be our own little independent real estate company, yet our team does so much business that we consistently rank on the Real Trends 500 and the Riz Media Power Broker Report. Now, from here on out, the booklet is divided into 4 sections. This is where the stuff gets good. This is where you're going to start taking notes. We've divided it into 4 sections, and those 4 sections are broken out just like you are seeing here. The marketing and branding is the first section. We're then going to move over to technology. We'll spend at least an hour and a half on the marketing and branding stuff. Then we're going to move over to technology, and then we'll talk about training and education. And then the last piece is just the support services. But a big portion of today we spend on the marketing and branding because usually that's the place where agents need some help. Now, what you're looking at here is our LAER Agent Services page. This is available for all agents. You don't have to be a LAER agent to utilize it. We put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of resources here to help you in your business. So we're going to head over to LAER Agent Services. Okay. You should be seeing on the screen now the Agent Services Dashboard, and I'm going to give you guys a tour of that and show you some cool things that you're going to want to use for your business. Again, for any real estate agent. The first thing you'll notice is when you log on to our Agent Services Dashboard, it's not asking you for a password. That means you can start to navigate everything here, no matter what brokerage you are working with. So let's take a tour of this. Now, uh, first of all, you'll notice that we have all these little houses that you can go click on. We happen to know that real estate agents love to tour houses. They love real estate. So we figured on LAER Agent Services, we'd make these nice little houses that you can go tour. Each one is chock full of great information and great tools for you to utilize in your business. So, the first piece before we start going and touring some of these houses that we're going to take a look at is right at the very top here is a dashboard. So here you can look at first, our Happy Agent host schedule. That piece is for LAER agents. If you're a LAER agent, as you know, we have staff at each of our locations throughout the week. They're there so that if you need to get a check deposited or you have a client dropping something off at one of the offices, you know there's going to be somebody there. Our Happy Agent hosts do all kinds of things from making sure the offices are beautiful, decorated for the holidays, making sure the coffee's always hot and that there's a smiling face when you stop by the office. This is the schedule. So if you're a LAER agent and you have somebody that wants to drop off a check at one of our offices or drop off anything or drop in, you can go see when there's going to be somebody at each of our offices. The second button right at the top is our LAER internal newsletter, which we put out once a month. So this is our internal newsletter for our agents. It's just a 4-pager, but if you're a LAER agent, you want to check that out monthly. We keep it short. The reason that you'll want to check this out, I think the most important reason is that, yes, there's all kinds of interesting, we put like a section about technology, so different technology for you to check out. There's always a book recommendation, a movie recommendation, of course, always a sustainability section. But most important part is you can always find out what's happening in the lives of your fellow agents, who had a baby, who lost a loved one. So you'll want to at least dive into this once a month. We do keep a printed version of these at the front desk at every office. So if you pop into one of our offices, make sure that you get a copy of the newsletter, but also we email it out once a month. And you can always go right to LAER Agent Services and get a copy of the newsletter. Next, we have a recently joined section. This is for agents that just recently joined the brokerage. This just scrolls you down to this section with the agents who just joined, usually in the last 30 to 60 days. By the way, if you're an agent that recently joined LAER and you don't see yourself here yet, it's probably because we either don't have a bio for you or we don't have your photo. So we wait to announce you to our fellow agents. We wait until we want them to know what you look like, to put a face with the name, and also just to have a little bio about you. So as part of our onboarding, we work with you to make sure we can gather all that info for a proper announcement to the rest of our team. Okay, the marketing section, this little button right at the very top is going to take you down here, which is where we're going to spend an hour or so checking all that stuff out. And then also we'll spend some time showing you the social media assistant, our growth and development tools, etc. So that's kind of like just the upper level of our dashboard, but really the good stuff is in these houses. Now, at the very, very top of the page, there are a bunch of resources for recently joined agents. Right at the very top is the LAER Program and Services Guide. That's that guide we just started with a few minutes ago. So you can always find the most recent version of that program and services guide in the very first house. So if you bookmark LAERagentservices.com, you'll have access all the time to everything that we're talking about today. Secondly, if you recently joined LAER, there's a section here called Frequently Asked Questions. As you know, Happy Agent Team is available 7 days a week. But let's just say it's Friday night at 10 o'clock and you have a quick question. You could probably go to frequently asked questions. Each year, we take the most frequently asked questions that come through our Happy Agent system and we answer them right here. So oftentimes you can find answers to your questions right there. And then last is the Tell the World section. Here we have a whole bunch of resources such as letters, announcement, social media posts, things like that for you to send to your sphere if you recently joined the brokerage. Then we have our recently joined agents. So you can head over here and see who recently joined the brokerage. Again, if you're not on here, it's only because we probably need your photo or your bio. So you can send those into happyagent@laerrealty.com and we can make a proper announcement to the rest of our team. So now we are heading down to our marketing, branding, and presentations. This is where we're going to spend a good hour or so because there's so much content here. The very first button, this button is the most clicked button on the whole page. So most agents who are coming here on a daily basis, the place that they're headed to most often is this guides, presentations, and brochures. So I have a couple of things to talk about here. Everything on this page is in Canva. So if you're not familiar with Canva, I know many of you probably already use Canva in your daily marketing, like creating your branding pieces, your social media pieces. Most agents are using Canva on a regular basis. But in case you're not familiar with it, here's what's so wonderful about Canva. In the old days, like going back 10 plus years ago, when it came to agent marketing, we would have our marketing staff use products like Photoshop and Adobe, like products that were not super user friendly. In other words, like you had to go to a marketing person who had taken classes on those technologies if you wanted to have nice marketing pieces. Somebody had to do it for you. And then Canva came along. Canva is made for regular people who don't have a marketing degree and didn't take hours and hours of classes on how to use technology. Canva is so easy. Even if you are not super tech savvy, Canva is just intuitive. So you can kind of go on there and play with it and learn it without taking any classes. By the way, we do have classes on Canva on our YouTube station. However, you really don't need classes. It's just an intuitive product for building out social media pieces, buyer presentations, seller presentations, guides and brochures, etc. So when you go into Canva, they have two different versions of the Canva account. They have a free account. And for most of you, that's going to be plenty. It's really all you need is a free Canva account. They also have an upgraded version of that. They call it their pro version for, I think, $15 a month, and it's discounted if you pay for a year. So I'll get into some of the details on the paid version. I like the paid version as well. I have the paid version of it. I will tell you, if you are a LAER agent, all of the stuff you see here, we have kind of converted over to our Zara platform, only so you don't have to do all the customization yourself, which means because we have Zara, you probably don't need the paid version of Canva because you can do everything that you do in Canva, you can do over in the Zara platform. And Sergio's going to give you a little demo of that in a little bit. But I'm going to stick here for a little bit because there's so many resources here that we've already created for you. The way Canva works is they let us create templates. That means we can go create pieces that agents like to use in their business. So for example, here's a 2025 for sale by owner guide. This is a guide, like a magazine type guide that you can create and give out. So if you are going and meeting a for sale by owner, or you see a for sale by owner sign on your street and you want to reach out to the person, you could show up with a beautifully branded magazine that makes you look really good. And by the way, none of our content is like junk content. What I mean by that, like this for sale by owner guide, we spent many hours perfecting. Let's see, it's 29 pages long and it prints on 8.5 by 11 paper. And so you can print these at your home printer, or you can also print them like at a Staples if you wanted something that's a little bit higher quality. But what you'll see is it talks about, it has like an introduction, things to consider, and it talks about all the steps that this person can take to sell the house on their own. This way, you're actually providing value to the homeowner, but also you're reminding them of all the steps that they have to take to get this property sold, from researching comps, building a team, like who's going to be their attorney, how to price, how to market the home, professional photography, how to host open houses, marketing the property to the general public, how to keep their safety in mind when they are showing the property, understanding the due diligence that the buyer is going to have to do, from mortgage options, etc. It talks about negotiations, evaluating different types of offers, thinking about potential legal issues as they are navigating a for sale by owner. So like this is a really comprehensive little booklet that we have created. So back to how Canva works is when you open one of these, in case you're not super familiar with Canva, when you open these, it opens up the Canva template. That means as soon as you open the document, it's yours. You now own this document. So that means any changes that you make on the document, we're not going to see. You didn't affect the copy that you opened. That's still there exactly how you left it. As soon as you open it in your Canva account, you now own it. You can go in and make all of your changes and add your photo and your contact information. So what does this mean for you? That we've saved you thousands, I'd say at least hundreds and hundreds of hours of work, because we've created this beautiful 29-page masterpiece that you can now bring to a for sale by owner. But it's not just this. We've created listing presentations and buyer presentations and pre-listing packages, social media pieces. We've created literally everything you need for your business. And instead of you having to spend hundreds of hours putting together these resources, all you have to do is go in and tweak them a little bit. Add your photo, your contact information, your bio, and now you have something that makes you look really good out in the marketplace. Now, going back to the paid version versus the free version of Canva. So all of our documents, everything that we've created in Canva, and I'm going to give you guys some of the highlights. When you go to LAERagentservices.com and you click on that link of guides, presentations, and brochures, you're going to find tons of pieces in there. So when you click on it, it becomes yours. And I'm going to show you some of the big ones that I think you kind of need to have to be successful in real estate right now. But when you open it, if you are using the free version of Canva, so on all of these documents, the free version is totally fine. The only caveat is some of these pieces we created with images. So this is a stock image, for example, this blue couch with the blue background. That is what is called a stock image. And when you are a free version, if you have the free version of Canva, they give you like 1 million stock images. But if you have the paid version of Canva, you get like 10 million stock images. So when we create the pieces, we use the paid version of Canva, which means some of our images are from the paid version of Canva. So if you're using the free version of Canva, and we created a document, let's just say, I don't know whether this particular photo is from a paid image or a free image, because when you have the paid version of Canva, they mix them all up. You get some that anybody gets access to and some that only paid members get access to. You'll know if you have the free version of Canva and you open this and you go through the whole magazine and you see some of the images have a Canva watermark, that means that you have to switch the image out. So if you're using the free image or the free version of Canva, sometimes you're going to have to change out images. That's the only caveat. Otherwise, you can use this whole 29-page booklet, but you'll probably have to go change out 5 images. As you go through, you'll see a big Canva watermark, and all you have to do is click on the image and you can drag in another image from the ones that you can choose from. So other than that, you can 100% use all of the pieces that we have created. So let's take a look at some of the other pieces that we have created here. So that was our for sale by owner. Let's do a quick overview and then I'm going to dig into some of these. By the way, when you're scrolling through here, make sure when you get to the bottom that you click see more, because sometimes it looks like you've gotten to the end only because there's not 3 here. But you'll see there's a little see more button. So you'll have to click that a few times in order to see everything that we have. But you'll see we have buyer guides. So these are like a little magazine that you would customize and print and put into your buyer packages. We have buyer presentations, which I'm going to go into that and show you a sample on in a few minutes. We have seller guides. This is like a probably 15 to 20 page magazine that you would give as part of your package when you meet with a seller. So it's like tips on selling their home and stuff like that. We have listing presentations. We have some scripts in here. We have like documents where the consumer could fill out all their utility information. We have rent versus owning flyers. We have, I like these home buying process. It's like shows you the whole buying process and the whole selling process on a Monopoly board. Just a cute little flyer. So we have brochures in here, a guide to real estate investing, and I think that covers all of them. There's an expired listing package in here. So I'm going to go into a few of these just so you can see how you could use these in your daily business. Now, I'm going to take you first to the buyer representation. This is a buyer presentation. Now, up until last year, it is my opinion that most real estate agents did not have a buyer presentation. However, most agents did have a listing presentation. It was normal for us to have a listing presentation because when you go on a listing appointment, you are asking a seller to commit to a long-term agreement with you. And in order to make a seller feel comfortable that they were committing for so long, they were going to be signing with you for a long period, agents knew inherently, like you have to show up and have a presentation and articulate your value. You have to show these sellers why they should feel very comfortable signing a contract with you. So most agents have had a listing presentation for quite some time. By the way, in case you didn't have one, we have listing presentations here as well. But up until last year, most did not have buyer presentations. And that is because I think most agents weren't having their buyers commit to a long-term contract. Now we know most agents are getting those long-term contracts signed. I know that there's some exceptions where you can do like a one-off that you sign a buyer contract for one house. But for the most part, you're sitting with a client and showing them, articulating your value, and then asking them to sign a buyer contract for a long time that they're going to commit to you for 6 months and only work with you for 6 months, which means now you have to have a buyer presentation. Because instead of a call coming in and you immediately going out and showing them properties, most likely what you're doing, or at least should be doing, is inviting them to your office and having a sit down with them to articulate your value and asking them to sign a 6-month contract or a longer contract or a shorter contract to only work exclusively with you during that period. So let's take a look. Now, by the way, I want to just point out that we have different versions of all of our marketing, not all, but like our buyer guides, our seller guides, our buyer presentations, and our seller presentations. We have different versions for New England versus Florida. And this is important to note, not only if you're a LAER agent, but also if you're an agent from another brokerage, is to make sure that whatever promises you're making within within any of your marketing pieces or your presentations, that the promises you're making reflect the type of fiduciary relationship you have with the client. So at LAER, our Florida agents practice transaction brokerage, whereas in New England, they have full buyer and full seller representation. So we have two different sets of marketing pieces because we don't want to say in our buyer presentation that we're going to do all these things for you if in Florida, we don't have the same level of fiduciary relationship with the client in Florida. So just important to note that if you're with another brokerage, to make sure that once you utilize these pieces, that you, number one, evaluate each piece to make sure that the promises align with the actual fiduciary relationship. And it's not a bad idea to run it by your broker to make sure they feel comfortable with the promises that you're making. But let's take a look at the New England guide to buyer representation here. This is the way you would think of this is like a PowerPoint presentation. In other words, you show up to the buyer's house and you tell them that you have a short presentation you want to go through. You would present this on a laptop, in my opinion, or iPad or tablet, and just kind of scroll through the pages. Or we do have a few agents that print these and do it as a print presentation, kind of like just quickly go through it on a print presentation. But this was designed, let me go through it with you, to help a buyer feel super comfortable signing an agreement with you. So in other words, you're showing up to an appointment not empty-handed. Your buyer appointment, you don't want to show up with just a contract and say, hey, sign here. That makes people feel very leery. But if you show up and articulate all the value you're going to bring, most buyers are going to be completely fine signing a long-term buyer contract with you. So first few pages are meant to be for you to customize with your name, your contact info, and your About Me section. You then want to include information about your brokerage. We have a little bit of info here about LAER. If you have some nice client testimonials, this is a great place to put them. By the way, any of these pages you can delete. So if there's something that you don't like within the presentation, Canva allows you to customize it any way you want. You can add stuff, you can delete stuff, you can add pages or delete pages, whatever you wish. The way we've set up this presentation is a 10-step buying process. So let's go through some of the main steps because we spent a great deal of time. We wanted to build something that the customer would just feel really comfortable. And the first part of the 10-step process is evaluation, consultation, and representation. This is where you tell the buyer how important it is to be represented by a real estate agent. And so it gives you some verbiage in there that you can utilize about why somebody should not go it alone when working. And they also, in our opinion, probably shouldn't go directly to the seller's agent, why they shouldn't do that. But one of the big pieces we articulate here is that the listing agent works for the seller, that that agent is going to represent the best interests of their client, the seller, and that the buyer should also be equally represented with somebody who is working on their behalf. And it then goes into what you agree to as their agent when they sign an agreement with you. It then goes into what they agree to, what they're agreeing to is loyalty. So it goes into the things that they're agreeing to, most importantly, loyalty and not working with other agents and keeping open communication with you. We then recommend that you put into your presentation the actual buyer contract that you're using. So we have one, a Massachusetts one here, but we recommend that you take whatever buyer contract you're using and just do a screenshot and put it right into your presentation and go through it with them so they feel super comfortable. You then explain that how you get paid and that you're going to ask the seller to contribute towards that, and that most sellers are already prepared to pay a buyer agent. So you explain to them exactly how all of that works, that they're agreeing to pay your buyer agent fee, but you're going to, in return, ask the seller to pay for that when you place an offer on the property. Now, one thing I want to point out here, we go through the 10 things. This is a 10-point presentation, 10 things this buyer should know about the buying a house through you. And there's a reason why we put the pricing, how you get paid right at the beginning. And that is because it's the number one thing the buyer's thinking about. How much is this going to cost me? And can I have somebody else pay for it? And if you don't address that at the very start of the presentation, then, and let's just say you put that as number 10, the last thing you're going to talk about, they're barely going to hear anything else you have to say. So by putting it at the very beginning, it basically says lots of things. It says, first of all, this is totally normal. This is how the industry works. And it takes that question off of their mind so that now they can pay attention to all the other stuff that you're going to do for them. So the next step that you're going to tell them is to determine a comfortable price range to look in, that they should begin evaluating their mortgage options so they understand exactly what their payment is going to be, that they should be shopping for more than just interest rates, that it's not, you can't just call around and ask like what rates are, because you have to evaluate lots of things, including closing costs, down payments, things like that. So you're giving them some information on how to begin that process. You're then going to talk about the difference between a pre-approval versus a pre-qualification, and that them providing all of the paperwork to the mortgage company up front, their tax returns, bank statements, etc., they're actually protecting themselves. Because if they're just getting pre-qualified and not providing all that information, then really whatever interest rate quotes they're getting and payment quotes they're getting, it's a guess. Until a bank actually evaluates their income, their debt to income ratio, their credit scores, things like that, it's nothing is set in stone. So you're going to talk to them about what mortgage insurance is. Number three, you tell them they can begin evaluating communities. And these are just some things for them to think about. Commuting distance and access to transit. Do they need school reports? How they can call local police departments, get information about crime. Do they care about community services, things like that. So step three is evaluating communities. Step four is shopping for a home. And you're going to direct them on how to shop for a home. So one of the things that we always say to our agents is that part of your presentation should be about why the consumer should not be shopping for a home on Zillow. So if your customer, by the way, first of all, if you're not having this conversation at your buyer appointments, if you don't have a slide built into your presentation about why the consumer should not be shopping for a home on Zillow, then I promise you, you're losing business to Zillow. Because when the consumer is shopping for a home on Zillow, that lead is going to get referred to another real estate agent. That's how Zillow works. So you have to make sure your consumer is not shopping on Zillow. And by the way, they shouldn't be. First of all, Zillow is not a real-time search. In other words, you're going to tell the client you don't want them to fall in love with the house of their dreams, only to find out it went under agreement last week and it just hasn't been updated on Zillow yet. Two, you can't do a super narrow search on Zillow. It's not possible. In most areas, it's like a $50,000 increments is the search increments. Next, many buyers think that when they go to Zillow that they are contacting the listing agent to ask questions about the property. In reality, we know that's not who they're contacting. They're contacting an agent who's paying for the lead. And last, for sellers, if they are also selling their house, they don't want to be relying on inaccurate estimates. And most importantly, most clients do not want to be inundated by sales calls. And we know that with Zillow, they sell the information to mortgage people, to real estate agents. So when the client decides they're going to shop on Zillow, they are more likely going to get inundated with calls. So you want to have a slide in there to make sure your customer knows when searching for real estate, stay off of Zillow. By the way, you better have a place that they can go search for real estate besides Zillow. And for our company, the way we do that is through a product called Real Scout that the client can easily, our agent can easily put them into a search. The client can sign themselves up for a search. We'll do a little presentation on that for you later. Next, you want to talk about open houses. What happens if the client goes to open houses? So important for you to talk about this with your client these days, because we do see a lot of agents that have signed a buyer contract, and because the agent didn't do a presentation for them, the client is bound to that buyer contract and has no idea. So now they're out shopping for a house and spending time with other real estate agents. You want to make sure that your clients know that when going to open houses, they need to make sure that anybody hosting that open house realizes that they are represented. Next, you want to talk to your buyer about what happens with off-market properties. What happens when their next door neighbor has a for sale by owner sign on the lawn? You want to make sure, hey, call me when you see that for sale by owner. I can help you with that property too. So all of this is about creating clarity for your buyer. Step 5 is property due diligence. Some of the things you do when they find a property, from pulling tax records, seeing if there's any outstanding permits, lead paint records, condo documents, things like that. Step 6 is about pricing and offer strategies. What happens if there is a bidding war? Things for the buyer to think about. Step 7 is writing the offer. Things for them to think about when writing an offer. What happens when an offer is rejected? What happens if an offer is accepted? And then step 8 is inspections, letting the buyer know that there's all types of inspections that they can do. And also there's things that they can do to protect themselves down the road, such as home warranties, things like that. Step 9 is appraisal and mortgage conditions. Here's where you talk about the fact that an appraiser needs to appraise the property. What is an appraisal? What happens if the appraisal comes in lower than what they paid for it? And you're also going to create some clarity for the client about things they need to be very cognizant of during the process of buying a home. They can't go buy a car. They can't go buy a whole bunch of new furniture because there's no payments for a year. They can't co-sign a debt. They can't move huge amounts of money between accounts or change jobs or quit jobs or not pay a bill. All of this is stuff that they have to be cognizant of. You can also talk to them in advance about homeowners insurance and what they need to know about that, especially in Florida, by the way. Like Florida can, the homeowners insurance can kill a deal at the last minute because the roof is 8 years old. So these are the things that you want to build into your buyer presentation. And then step 10 is talking about the closing, the final walkthrough, closing documents that they're going to be signing and what those documents mean. And that is basically the overview of the buyer presentation. So you'll see there's no fluff in there. It is all good information that your buyer needs to have a successful buyer transaction. Now, couple things to think about here. First of all, put yourself in the buyer's shoes. Imagine that they've started their home buying process, they're first time home buyers, and they've called around to a few different agencies, a few different agents. And on average, they get a buyer agent who meets them for the first time and is shoving a contract under their nose, saying, here, sign here, sign here. And of course, the people are freaked out by that. They don't want to sign something because they don't even know what exactly you do, how you get paid. They're new to the process. And then you show up. Somebody calls you. You show up and you have a nice organized presentation. You invite them into the office. You have a cup of coffee with them. You have a printout of your buyer contract, but also the offer form so they can begin to get acquainted with what that offer form looks like. And you have this beautiful presentation where you walk them through the entire process. You talk to them about how you get paid and how you're going to ask the seller to contribute towards that payment. This makes the buyers feel really comfortable. So again, put yourself into their shoes and remember that as you do this presentation, you will elevate yourself in their eyes as compared to the average agent, because the average agent is not taking all of this time to fully explain the entire process to them. So again, you can go in and change the entire presentation, add as much as you want, update as much as you want, take out as much as you want, and make it your own. So that's the buyer presentation. We have a seller presentation as well in here, which is equally as good. I'll give you a little peek at that one as well. Okay, this is the seller presentation. Let me try to. Okay, so this is the listing presentation. I won't spend too much time on this. Most important for you to know is that it is available for you. So this listing presentation, again, this is like a presentation format. So the idea behind this is that when you go to your seller's house, you would have your laptop or your tablet and then tell them that you have a short presentation to show them about you and the value you offer and how you're going to best help them sell their property. So at the very beginning, it just talks about who you are. And again, in case you just joined us, this is open to this is available for any agent from any firm. You go in, this is 100% customizable. So you can add anything you wish on any of these pages, but you definitely want to have something about your brokerage in here and something specifically about you. Let's see. So here we have why somebody would want to work with a realtor and getting their house sold. There's a specific page I want to show you because it's really important. Past all the piece about why working with a realtor is different. This is the page I wanted you guys to see. This is a breakdown of all the things you do to get a property sold. This is all the little minutia in getting a property sold, from traveling to installing lock boxes, installing signs, preparing marketing pieces, hosting open houses. There's a few pages of these things with like the average number of minutes spent in getting all of these things completed. You can go in and further customize this stuff for your own business, but we kind of made it pretty generic so that you can utilize it as is in most instances. But according to the National Association of Realtors, that's an average of 4,200 minutes to do your average sale that is not a distressed property. And basically what you want to articulate is that you're getting paid a commission, but it's a fixed rate compensation, meaning it could take more than 4,200 minutes to get it done. And you're not charging them by the hour, because they wouldn't want to pay by the hour because of the amount of time that it's going to take you to get the property sold. And then you're going to just talk about how you're going to get the property sold. I don't want to go through the whole thing because all of this is meant for you guys to customize for yourselves, but you definitely want to talk about like your marketing. So how phone calls are handled at your brokerage. Do you get all the calls on the listing? Do you use professional photography? Of course, your company probably syndicates to all the major list sites, which will help them get the property sold. Your social media marketing. For us, we use Real Scout for property showings and how that's going to help get exposure for the property. We also have something in there about green living. By the way, if you are into sustainability or you have clients that love sustainability, we have listing and buyer presentations specifically for high performance homes. So check those out as well. We have a high performance home listing presentation and a high performance home buyer presentation on here as well. So as you go through LAER Agent Services, you're going to see there's just hundreds of pieces available for you. This one's also important in the listing presentation. It kind of shows them how important it is to price the property correctly, because if they price too high, they lose in visibility big time. So you're going to show them that if they go too high on price, they lose eyeballs, which means losing visibility means losing price. They're going to get paid less for the property. So it then has some steps to pricing the property correctly, things like that. So that's a sample listing presentation, but again, there's other versions on the site. You don't have to, and you can customize the versions that we have. All of these are available. I'm going to go back to LAER Agent Services just in case you recently joined us. All of these are available at LAER Agent Services, and we went down and clicked on guides, presentations, brochures. They're all in there. So let's talk about some of the things. We started today and we said that we started today stating that you should write down 10 things that you're going to execute after you leave today's program. So I want to start with going through some of these items that you should be executing on if you don't currently have them for your business, because these should be on your list of 10 things you're going to execute on as soon as you leave today. So first, if you do not currently have a buyer presentation, you should have a buyer presentation. So if you do not have a buyer presentation, go select one that we have. Number two, if you don't have a listing presentation, you really need a listing presentation to be successful in real estate today. Go do your listing presentation. We've already created it here for you. We have several for you to choose from. Pick one, customize it, and you're good to go. Next, you should have a buyer package, a seller package, and an investor package. These are packages that you hand out, a buyer package after your buyer meeting, or if you hear of somebody that's thinking about buying a home, let's say you're at Starbucks and you hear somebody talking about buying a home, you run out to your car and you have buyer packages in a big Tupperware container out in your car. You're going to have seller packages and investor packages out there as well. You hear somebody at Starbucks thinking about buying a home, you run out to your car and you grab one of your packages and you bring it in. So much more powerful than a business card. It's like, here's a whole bunch of value that I can give you. But let's talk about what these packages have. So a package is in a folder, and it's a whole bunch of materials that somebody could review. So in a buyer package, let's talk about some of the things we might put in that buyer package, because I guarantee you almost everything is right here. You don't have to go invent anything. So your buyer package, I would have a buyer's guide. So here's a sample. We have a couple different buyer guides here. If you open these, okay, right here, this is an 18-page buyer guide. This is a magazine just for buyers that we created, like little steps to buying a house. So this is printable on 8.5 by 11 paper, and you bind it and you have a beautiful buyer guide to give to your buyer. So that should go in your buyer package. Next, I would also, let's see, I would do this home buying process monopoly board piece. This is just a printable flyer. Same. Like this shows you the whole buying process on a monopoly board. It's super cute and you can print this and put it into your buyer package. Let's see what else we have. So far we have 2 items. I also like this locals guide. This is something you make, but say they're looking in Westford, Massachusetts for a property. This takes you 10 minutes to customize, and it's like the top 10 places to go visit in Westford, Massachusetts. So you customize it to the town, but it's got where the farmers market is, where the best coffee is, the best brunch, things like that. I'd put that in there. I'd also have my trusted vendor list in there. These are all the people that I trust in the area for contractors, landscapers, mortgage people, attorneys, title companies, you name it, all of it. As you build your vendor list, you do it right here so that you have a nice printout that you can put into your buyer and seller packages. Um, you will also want to include a brochure about your company. If you're a LAER agent, we already created one for you, but you want to have a little brochure in there about your brokerage. And of course, you want to have a resume in there about you. So those that's everything I would put into a buyer package. In a seller package, same thing. I would put the seller guide. We already created it for you. So it's right here, the seller guide. You go in and customize that. It's like a 20-page magazine. I would put the monopoly board for sellers to show them the process. I also would put the marketing plan for a seller. There is a 10-point or a 20-point marketing plan on all the things you can do to market their property. I would include that in there. I would also include why sellers should offer a buyer agent commission in your guide or in your package as well. I would also include my resume, and I would include the information brochure about your brokerage. So those would go into your seller package, and in your investor package, all the stuff that we just talked about, but also it include the real estate investing guide. That's like a 12 or 13 page magazine that you can customize with your photo and contact information, and print that and put that in your investor package. So you want to have a buyer package, a seller package, and an investor package, because all of those make you look super professional when you're either meeting a new client or have just met a seller or just met a buyer, to begin articulating your value. And again, we've done all the work. We've saved you hundreds and hundreds of hours by going in and doing all of the work, by creating all the content. You just open it and start using it. Everything we just covered is under this guides, presentations, and brochures. Next, NAR settlement resources. Not going to spend too much time here, but when the National Association of Realtors settlement occurred and things changed, where there were new rules around working under contract with buyers, things like that, we created a whole page of resources. Sometimes agents still need those. First of all, we wrote a book that goes through the changes in all the forms in case you need that. But also under that page, there's some nice articles about why sellers should pay a buyer agent, in case that's helpful to you. put some nice articles there. But also there's articles there as to why a buyer should be represented as well. So why they should not go direct to the seller agent. In a few, we'll go over our social media assistant. Each month, LAER puts together all kinds of great marketing social media pieces for our agents. We'll show you how you can access those. If you're a LAER agent and you ever need special marketing pieces, for example, we get agents that are advertising in their church bulletin or advertising in a local magazine, and you want help designing that, our team is happy to do that. Just click on special marketing requests. I do want to click on this open house resources because there's some cool stuff for open houses here for our agents. So number one, if for doing open houses, one of the things I like here is we have some cute little interior sign sheets. So where you could put little signs around the house about special things that you want the customer to notice if they're walking through the property. Couple other things I really like though here are number one, feedback surveys. So oftentimes when agents are doing open houses, they have like a little sign-in sheet where you just go sign the customer or the person walking through the house signs their name and gives a phone number and email address. That's typical. But in the new world we're living in, we're seeing houses sit on the market a little bit longer. So why not use your open house as an opportunity if you might need a price reduction down the road? So instead of having that plain old open house sign-in sheet, how about this cool feedback form where you're asking people who come through the property to evaluate the property for you? So you're asking them like, hey, is the price good? Because we always say to sellers, like, it's the market that determines the price of your home. Well, that market is walking through your house, that house during an open house. So let's utilize them and ask them, like, what do they think of the price, location, floor plan, kitchen, bathroom? And you collect these after at each open house. So you have 10 people come through your open house. You have 10 people who fill out this feedback form for you. And at the end, maybe this house has been on the market for a while and you have 10 people came through the house and said the price is too high. And then they'll tell you why too. The curb appeal is poor. The kitchen is poor, and they'll give you little notes. So what's really interesting is sometimes agents have a hard time asking somebody to fill out that form that's sitting over on the counter because we feel like it's weird to say, hey, you got to go sign this form. But imagine instead you have like 20 clipboards at your open house, and these are already on each clipboard with a pen. And when somebody comes through the open house, you hand them this as soon as they come into the open house and say, would you do me a favor? We're excited to have you in our open house today. Would you mind filling this out as you go along so that I can begin collecting some feedback on the property from people who are out shopping right now for real estate? So and by the way, a lot of agents will say, when I give this to the seller, I make sure your name is not on it. So we'll delete your name from the bottom of the piece of it. But just a cool little feedback survey form. We also have, if you like to give out little gifts at your open houses, we have these thanks for popping in tags. And these are just little tags you customize and print and put them on microwave popcorn. And it says, thanks for popping by my open house. And this is my favorite part down here, the activity sheets for kids. When you're doing an open house, in my opinion, you should always have a little area set aside for the kids. So a little coloring table, with stuff for the kids to work on. So we created some coloring sheets here from like they can draw their perfect house, or they could design a for sale sign for you. So just have a little area. So if a family comes in and they've got kids, the parents aren't rushed through because their kid is complaining and is bored and doesn't want to be there. Have a little area set up with some crayons and your kids' coloring area. Okay. I see we have more people joining us. In case as you join us, one of the pieces I want to just point out is where we are standing right now is at LAERagentservices.com. All these resources that we're going through, all of them are available at LAER Agent Services, and they're available to agents who work at LAER, but also agents from any brokerage. So we always like to say you'll get as much out of today's boot camp as agents who are at LAER, because we open up all of our marketing, our training to agents from all firms. Okay, so we're back here, LAER Agent Services. We just clicked on Open House Resources. We also have a lot of pieces here on commercial resources. So this has been a place that we've been working on this year, because the market has changed a little bit over the last 24 months. There are many agents who are seeking new niches of business to make up for less business, less residential business available in the last 12 months. So one of the places many agents are going is commercial real estate. By the way, if you're interested in commercial real estate, please join our commercial network. You just click on this button and it just has you give us your name and your email address. And every month we're offering free commercial training to all real estate agents, and it's really good training. So you could take a look. We just started this a couple months ago. This is going to be our third month of doing the monthly commercial training. Hold on, my page is a little bit slow in loading, but you can go to laerrealty.com/commercial training and download our most recent classes. We have had classes on negotiating commercial leases, so tenant rep agreements. I'm not sure why this, Sergio, hopefully you can take a look at it. I don't know why that particular link is not loading. I think it might be my internet's a little bit slow, so I'll come back and check it in a second. But we do these live webinars once a month, so if you're interested in learning more about commercial real estate, you can sign up at join our commercial network. Oh, I think it pulled. Nope. That's weird. I'll let you look at that and figure out why that's not loading correctly, Sergio. But you could take the live class, and then all of the recordings of our commercial training we'll put at LAER Realty. Oh, I think it's because it should be laerrealty.com. Sergio, not laeragentservices.com. It's laerrealty.com. Oh no, that should work.
It is. LAERrealty.com is not loading correctly for me, but I think there is some kind of
like an outage
thing with Cloudflare again.
Okay, got it. Okay, we'll come back to that. Anyways, we do the live classes each month. If you join our commercial network, you don't have to be a LAER agent. We open it up to everybody. We do the live class once a month on the third Thursday of the month at 10 o'clock. It's a 1-hour program. We cover all different things that are related to commercial real estate. We then put the recorded classes on our YouTube station at youtube.com/LAER training. Also, there's some other pieces here under commercial real estate. We have a commercial listing presentation. that you can go in and customize. That opens up in Canva. We have a commercial offering memorandum. So if you're listing a commercial property, this also opens in Canva. It's a beautiful marketing piece for commercial real estate. We have some spreadsheet commercial valuation models here that you can check out as well. We have, if you're a LAER agent, we have a page with all the different commercial logos. And that's kind of our initial resources. Commercial real estate's a new animal for us, but we see it as an important piece of the business moving forward. So if that sounds interesting to you, we would love to have you on our commercial training programs. Okay, next up. Uh, I'll actually come back to this in a little bit, but there's some really cool resources under signs, apparel, and marketing. I'm going to come back to that one shortly. First, I want to show you guys the ROAR report. This is a newsletter for customers. When it comes to real estate, there's two different types of newsletters that we can send our customers. One is an email newsletter and one is a print newsletter. Once a month, LAER writes a 4-page newsletter for clients. And we put it on Canva so you can go in and customize it. We put out a new one each month. And let's take a look at this one. We put it in two different formats. Some agents prefer 8.5 by 11, and it's a 4-page that you would staple. Some agents prefer 11 by 17, which is super big paper, so that you just have a 4-page newsletter on one piece of paper. So you can click on the one that you prefer, and then each month this gets updated with a brand new version of the newsletter, and you go in and customize however you wish. So let's see. This one is a holiday version of the newsletter. The reason we have these big red marks is so that you know what you have to go customize. So, and you can delete any of this. You can delete our logo. You can delete the red splotches wherever you wish. You can delete whole sections. Like if you want to change out an entire piece. Why would you want to change out an entire article? It is because many agents use this ROAR report two ways. Number one, they mail it to their past customers. They use it as a monthly mailer. And to subsidize, help pay the cost of that mailer, they feature each month a mortgage company or a title company, and they'll write a little article or design a little ad that they fill into the ROAR report, and then that company helps pay the cost of the mailer. The other way you can use this is if you've ever participated in our Algorand program. Algorand is our real estate growth system that helps get agents to 30 plus transactions a year. And one of the pieces we talk about in that program is building a vendor referral network. And that is where you go out to vendors each month, such as the local pizza shop or the local landscaping company, and you tell them you want to put them into your vendor network. That means they go onto your vendor referral form, which I showed you that we have it on Canva that you can go customize. But also each month you feature a particular business in your ROAR report. When you feature that business, you then take it to the business and you print out like 30 copies. And you say, can I leave my newsletter this month in your place of business because I've featured you in it? So it's a great way to market. It's a great way to build a community of people who refer you business, because business people get us. They understand how we operate. They're running a business too. So it's a great way to build a relationship with other business owners in your marketplace who are also trying to build their own businesses. So that's under the ROAR report. And let's go back. We're still under marketing, branding, and presentations. If you're a LAER agent, we have a whole button here of all kinds of different LAER logos that you can use. We also have a section here of seasonal pop-by tags. hopefully you're out visiting your customers on a regular basis, your past customers, your friends, your referral sources, and it's always nice to not go empty-handed. So here we've created all kinds of cute little pop-by tags so you can buy low-cost items of value and create a tag that goes with it. So for example, we're in the holiday season, and who doesn't need more gift wrap? You're going out, you're going to visit 5 or 6 of your past customers, go buy some holiday gift wrap and create a some little tags. So you customize these to you and you tie them on a roll of gift wrap and you go visit some of your past customers and say, hey, I was thinking about you today, decided to just stop in, see how things are going, and want to bring you some gift wrap because everybody needs some gift wrap this time of year. But that's your opportunity to find out who's thinking about buying or selling next year within your current sphere. All right. And we also have a listing description generator. Any of you are using ChatGPT, which is totally fine. This is a AI generated listing description generator. By the way, any agent can use this from any firm. When you fill this out, it emails you the listing description. So what's great about this is you just tell it how many paragraphs you need, and then it's going to ask you some questions about the property, and then it's going to create a listing description for you and just email it to you directly. I do always say that you have to just be careful. You have to read it because AI can accidentally make fair housing violations. So you got to read that listing description to make sure that it hasn't violated a fair housing law. And then we also have an agent bio generator. This is one of my pet peeves in the business. It drives me insane when agents don't have a really good bio on their website. By the way, you should have a great bio, not only on your website, but every single real estate agent has an agent page on Zillow, Realtor.com, and Homes.com. They're free. Even if you're not paying for Zillow leads or Realtor.com leads or Homes.com leads, you have an agent bio page on all 3 of those sites. The reason this matters is if you go and Google your name and put real estate after it. So your name and then real estate to see what comes up. Usually those 3 sites are going to come up. So those 3, you should have a good bio in there because remember, your bio is like your resume, and we're in the business of applying for a job. Every time we meet a buyer or a seller, we're applying for a job, so you should have a good resume. Well, you want to show up with a good resume online as well. So go here. This will create a bio for you. It asks you lots of questions. And then it's going to create a bio for you and send it to you. Then you just cut and paste that inside all of those sites. So I would add that to your to-do list, by the way. The top 10 things you're going to execute on after you leave today. That one little change could create business for you in 2026 just by having your bio on Zillow, Realtor.com, and Homes.com. And it's free. So go add those because one of the things we say when we do our agent training is in the world we live in today, the first thing people do when they meet somebody that they have not done business with in the past is they're going to Google them. And if somebody Googles your name with real estate after it, these sites are going to show up. So make sure you look good on those sites. So we're at the end of the marketing section, but we're not done yet. Before we move on, I first want to introduce our Chief Sustainability Officer, Craig Foley, who always has some really good stuff to share with us on the sustainability front. So with that, I'm going to welcome Craig.
Thanks, Stacy. I am going to just go to my screen here. Let's see. a second. So I'm going to go to LAER Agent Services as well, because we have a sustainability toolkit down here in the agent toolbox, and I want to highlight some of the resources that we have available for you. Um, One of the things that, as I listen to Stacy talk and I reflect on all of the things that have happened, particularly over the last couple of years with changes to buyer agency, for instance, and some of the specialties that Stacy has worked so hard to kind of build out in LAER Agent Services .com and in the network of professionals that we deal with, is it it definitely seems like this has become more and more of a knowledge-based profession, more than it ever has. I mean, I've been in the business 25 years. Back in the day, you got your real estate license, you went through that 40-hour class. um, that really didn't do a whole lot to get you into the actual business of selling real estate. But over the course of those 25 years, I've seen that the specialty areas of real estate have really grown exponentially, and it's really been a critical part of agent success in this business as well. And you can see that Stacy's really worked hard to make sure things like the commercial segment of our brokerage, that you could be trained, that you could have the tools to be able to move forward in that part of your business if you want to do that. I mean, the rental listing issues, and Stacy, I'm sure you would agree on this. I mean, the number of lawsuits that come from rentals is just through the roof. I mean, the liability for not being knowledgeable and competent, which is a requirement in our code of ethics, is just huge in all facets of this. And so I just want to open up this little sustainability section here, this intersection of real estate and sustainability, and talk about what it means in the real estate transaction, the residential real estate transaction, the commercial real estate transaction as well. And I think most people, most agents, when they think about what does this intersection of real estate and sustainability really mean? How does it work? That I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, the real estate agent's going to say, oh, well, there's solar panels on a rooftop for a home that I'm helping a buyer buy or a listing that I'm taking. How do I deal with that with the transaction? And that's a very tangible use case for what this stuff means in the business. We have 150,000 homes in the state of Massachusetts now with solar PV on their rooftop. They transact every day. We have specific fields in the MLS PIN that needs to be filled out, right? So that's definitely an element of it. I would add that there are a couple other elements that are really important here in the real estate transaction. Energy efficiency, and believe it or not, solar or renewable energy, whether it's geothermal wells being drilled for a specific home or solar available on a home, those are production of energy resources. They're not energy efficiency. And there's a whole other piece to the energy efficiency part of this, including the building envelope, including new technologies like heat pumps that are out there and heat pump hot water heaters that we're seeing a real movement in not only in new construction, but existing homes like my own. I have an 1895 Victorian in Melrose, Mass that I'm in right now that is heated and cooled by heat pumps exclusively for our home. EV charging stations, electric vehicle charging stations as part of a home, right? Not even going to a gas station anymore, but just plugging into your home's power to be able to use. And then there's climate risk. So all of these elements, whether it's renewable energy, energy efficiency, new technologies that are out there, electric vehicle charging, or climate risk, which is becoming a bigger and bigger issue that's being reflected in the real estate process by insurance costs, by rising insurance costs, which we're even seeing here in the Northeast, particularly in the coastal areas as well. But we're definitely seeing huge surges in homeowners insurance. And I'm not even talking about flood insurance, but just homeowners insurance in states like Florida, in which we have offices, in states like Louisiana and Texas and California with the wildfire risk out there. And those risks just seem to be moving further and further north. So this is another area in which we want you to understand that there are resources available. And again, if you're not a LAER agent, you can still jump onto the sustainability section here that I'm in right now and be able to utilize some of these resources as well. I just want to highlight one specific piece of this that I often hear. So I teach the green designation quite a bit for National Association of Realtors. And, I always ask realtors before when we're starting the class, why are you here? What are you interested in? And inevitably, the issue of appraisals will pop up, and there will be many agents that believe that all of this green stuff, this high performance home stuff, is great. Putting solar on a rooftop, making your home more energy efficient, FERS scores for homes. But many agents don't think that appraisers will actually recognize that in the appraisal report. And that can be true if you're not demanding a qualified appraiser. So I just want to go through some of the appraisal resources, this little button here on the top right. I'm just going to click on this, right? So you'll see that there are 5 drop-down pieces that pop down here in just the appraisal section of this that I want you to be aware of. And one of them is, if I click on this, hopefully you can see what pops up. It's a little letter that starts with 4 buyers and 4 lenders, right? So this letter is something that when I'm listing a high performance home, an existing home with substantial high performance features in it, like the ones that I've talked about, some of the new technology, or certainly new construction, particularly here in Massachusetts with the rigorous building codes that we have, I want to highlight the high performance features in the MLS and upload a document that you'll see here that you can download that demands that we have an appraiser that's qualified, much like our Article 11 of our Code of Ethics that NAR has, which requires knowledge and competence. Appraisers have the same thing in their requirements. And there's a bunch of appraisers in the state of Massachusetts that have gone through the Valuation of Sustainable Buildings program. Yeah, so you just heard that right. There are appraisers that are trained specifically in this area to value homes or commercial buildings with high performance features. So this letter that you can download and you can change, you can put your information about the specific high performance features of the home in here, can be uploaded into the MLS, and you can make it, if your seller wants this to be the case, that we can demand a qualified appraiser. We can't pick a specific appraiser anymore, but we can demand a qualified one that's gone through this process of valuing homes with high performance features. So, going back to the original point here when I'm teaching the green designation, that agents will say, well, this stuff isn't recognized by the appraiser. I can say, well, yeah, that's true if you as a listing agent aren't demanding the qualified appraiser because your seller has instructed you to. And again, we can't pick a specific appraiser anymore, but we can demand a qualified one. So that's one of the resources that are there in the toolkit. Another resource that you'll see here is the actual addendum that was created by the Appraisal Institute back in 2009, the original addendum. This one's from 2019. Of a addendum for the URAR, the Uniform Residential Appraisal Report, for homes with these specific, significant high performance features in it. So the Appraisal Institute created this residential green and energy efficient addendum. This is the addendum that a qualified appraiser, an appraiser that's gone through the Valuation of Sustainable Buildings, would use to identify the high performance features in a specific home. So whether or not it has a green certification, a LEED certification, a passive house certification, which is now one of the options for builders to fulfill the Massachusetts Energy Code, is through the passive house certification. Then page 2 gets into the specifics of the building envelope, right? Levels of insulation, the blower door test results that are coming in to talk about leakage in a home, high performance windows, HVAC, including heat pumps that you can see here in here, programmable thermostats, indoor environmental quality, water efficiency pieces in here, right? We go down to the next page, and here's a whole section on if the home that you're selling as the listing agent has a solar PV photovoltaic asset on it. You can see that the third page has the specifics for that solar PV system in it. If we keep on scrolling down here, walk score, public transportation, all of this is part of the residential green addendum. And we want to have that filled out so that when we meet the qualified appraiser, the appraiser takes a look at that information, and then they can make a case to the bank underwriter about the specific high performance attributes that are in a home. And even if that home only has one specific asset that you know of, or the seller knows of, that it has a solar PV system on the rooftop, that's reason enough to be able to use this form. But I just want to highlight that there's more here to take a look at as well. So I'm going to move to a different asset that is in the agent resources section. It's the green building registry. So if you're in that area, you can click on that button and it will take you to someplace like this. Now, our offices, our headquarters is in Chelmsford, Massachusetts, right? So I'm going to pop in here, Chelmsford, Massachusetts, USA, and take a look at the number of homes and the addresses of homes that have specific high performance assets that have already been included in that home. Now, Chelmsford, Massachusetts, how many homes are you going to guess have pretty rigorous high performance assets that are in Chelmsford, Massachusetts? Well, let's click on it and find out. Takes us down to a map, and that map says up on the upper right, there's over 1,400 specific homes in Chelmsford, Massachusetts that have significant high performance assets that an appraiser that's gone through the valuation of sustainable buildings would be able to identify and add contributory value to the home. So let's go down to a specific address or click on a specific building. This is commercial and residential buildings that you may find in here. And this specific home, and I'm just clicking one randomly, 8 Scott Drive in Chelmsford, right, has a solar asset on it. It has a lot of information here: the year it was installed, the size of the system, the annual or estimated production of the system, and who owns the system. In this case, it's a third-party owner. Why is that important? Well, I'm going to switch to another spot here just to make this very specific and very tangible for you all, to go to PIN. So this is, I've now switched to MLS PIN, which I'm sure many of you know about. This is the new listing criteria when you're putting a new listing into our MLS in Massachusetts, the primary listing. You can see all of the assets that are included here. Many of these are in green, by the way, and those are high performance assets that are specifically focused on green amenities. You can see HERS score in here as well. I'm just going to go down to the power production category, which is right here. So you can see that there's a section for instance, if I have a third-party owned solar PV system on my home. I'm going to click that button, right? And look, this drop-down menu appears in which all of those assets that we just identified on that home in Chelmsford are now required because they're in red for you to fill out. This is a really specific use case for how to use these tools to be able to enter the proper information into the MLS. It really bums me out. I see so many agents that when they see this red section, it scares them out because it scares them because they know that these fields now have to be filled out. And many agents don't have any clue what these fields mean. So what I see way too often is the listing agent saying, I don't know what that is. I'm trying to get this listing into the MLS. I don't have time to figure this out. So I'm going to move it back to unspecified where I don't see any of this stuff. And the information is never entered into the MLS. That's egregious, I think. Again, our job is to get the most value that we can from the listings that we bring to the market. And this is a very specific case in terms of how to use these tools that we have in the LAER Agent Services Guide. So again, I'm going to just go back to LAER Agent Services again. Again, this is the Sustainability Toolkit. That specific piece is the Green Building Registry, which is listed right here, right? I want to bring out one other thing, one other item here. There's a script, so we've talked about a couple of things. We just talked about renewable energy, obviously. We can talk about HERS scores and energy efficiency, which I'll talk about in a second. But I do want to highlight that there is a script here for realtors to talk about climate risk. Now, you may have heard this last week that Zillow removed a climate risk rating that they had for all active listings because they got a lot of pushback from home sellers and and listing agents because they were seeing that in some specific listings, the tool that Zillow was using, which comes from a website called riskfactor.com, was scaring buyers away because home buyers, particularly younger home buyers, are aware that climate risk is a real thing. So Zillow ended up removing that tool, which I thought was a really bad call. You'll see, though, that on Realtor.com, hopefully I'm going to switch my screen and you can see Realtor.com now, has that same asset rating in here, the environmental risk factor. This is an active listing on Realtor.com. All active listings have this. And you can see that there is a moderate damage in this is a home in Melrose, Massachusetts. Flood factor, there's a moderate risk here. There's a wind factor, that there's a major risk here. Heat factor, major risk as well. And this is scaring people because they don't really know how to explain it. So we, again, have a script for how to deal with this stuff, right? So let's imagine that Stacy is a home buyer and she's coming to one of my open house for this particular listing. And she comes down after touring the home, and I'm down in the kitchen with a bunch of other folks that are downstairs talking to me about the property. And she comes in and says, hey, Craig, I'm noticing that this home has a moderate risk of flooding. What does that actually mean? It has a major risk for wind damage, I guess, according to Realtor.com. What's your reaction going to be? And there we have a script for this. The script was created by NAR, and essentially the script goes something like this. Stacy, thank you for asking that question. It's a really important question that we need to be dealing with, and I'm super happy that Realtor.com has this information available to home buyers. This is a part of the market that I specialize in. I think about this quite a bit. And I want to make sure that you have all of the resources that are available. So this particular tool that Realtor.com uses looks forward 15 and 30 years. This is predictive analytics that are being used to look at the potential risk of the property. I just want to let you know that Melrose has done a pretty substantial climate vulnerability assessment and has a climate action plan. I have those downloaded in my computer, Stacy. So if you just make sure that I have your email address correctly, I can give you that information because it has the action plan for the city of Melrose to do to protect against these rising vulnerabilities that we're seeing in the marketplace. There's no question that this is something that you should be thinking about. And by the way, Stacey, are you working with a buyer's agent? Because this is a specific area that I'm very interested in, concerned about for my buyers as they look forward in the process. And I have a ton of resources to be able to help, right? So I just wish that before Zillow had removed that and listing agents had complained about that, that we had talked about this process and how to deal with some of these issues in a way that can turn it into business for you because you're aware of the concerns that buyers have out there on the marketplace. So I don't know, Stacey, there's a lot of stuff here that's very specific in the marketplace. Oh, that's good. I didn't know that Real Scout had it in there as well, Ashley. But there's a lot of stuff in the marketplace here that's very tangible in terms of the real estate transaction and things that you need to know. And I guess my big thing, just as a takeaway from this, is that if you're a listing agent and you're not comfortable or confident in these places, I get that. You don't want to spend the time, energy, and money to get your green designation. I just hope that you'll do the right thing on behalf of your clients. So if you are, potentially going to be listing a home with host-owned solar PV and it can add contributory value, if you go through the process, if you're not comfortable with that, we have a ton of green designated agents in the state. We have a ton of green designated agents at LAER Realty Partners that can partner with you. You can call me. I can give you some advice on the side. We can work together on a specific listing so that it protects Stacy from the potential risk out there for not dealing with these issues appropriately. Again, we are a knowledge-based industry at this point, and we need to be able to take some of this stuff seriously. And I'm so glad to be part of this team and be able to provide resources for you to be able to help you, guide you through this process.
Craig, so in Real Scout, it'll have like the numbers, but then if you click on a link, it'll generate like I think it's like a 40 to maybe 80 page report, depending upon where the property is. And it breaks like each risk factor down and like why it is what it is. But I have noticed that those risk factors do either go up or down significantly, depending upon what time of the year we're in. So that's something to take into account too.
Well, it's not only that, Ashley, those are great points. Thank you for pointing all of those out. But there's riskfactor.com, but there's also climatecheck.com, which also uses 30-year predictive analytics. And you can find very different numbers if you compare, oftentimes in properties, between risk factor and climate check, even though they're both using predictive analytics, right? Which is why I want everybody on our team to just Google Melrose Climate Action Plan, Melrose Climate Vulnerability Assessment, whatever markets that you deal with, and download those and have those as tools so that you can pass them on to the buyer that is asking these very intelligent questions about the plan that your community has to move forward with this stuff. So climate risk, energy efficiency, renewable energy improvements on homes, we're seeing them all over the place. The Green Building Registry is a great registry to just look at some of the opportunities that are out there in the market, and even perhaps because it's down to the specific property, maybe that's a way that you're also generating business because you're seeing property owners in your neighborhoods that are doing these kinds of things and having some level of expertise and fluency in this part of the market can really help you land these listings and these sales and buyers.
All right, awesome stuff. And I can't agree more that especially one of the things that we say when we are as realtors is that we are going to make sure when we're working with our clients that we have the level of expertise necessary to best represent our buyers or sellers. So if a property has sustainable features and you're not educated in that, you don't want to misrepresent something. So protect yourself. And by the way, I think everybody should get, it's like the world we live in today, everybody should get the green designation only because it comes up on almost every transaction now. So go get your green designation and better represent your buyers and sellers. So with that, I want to, first of all, just note that our commercial page, I don't know why this page was not loading earlier, but if you are interested in commercial real estate, we do have laerrealty.com/commercial training, and you can join our commercial group because we do new training every single month. And as we've been doing these trainings, we've also been rewriting some of the forms, like the tenant rep agreement, commercial tenant worksheets, stuff like that. So in my opinion, commercial real estate is in many ways easier than residential real estate. It's just many real estate agents kind of ignore it because it's something different. But I think there's a huge amount of opportunity in commercial real estate for our agents. So wanted to let you know that that is back working. And next, I wanted to have Sergio come up and give you guys just a quick rundown of some additional marketing resources available to LAER agents, and also show all agents where you can get some great pieces. So welcome, Sergio.
Thanks, Stacy. I'm gonna share my screen. 1 sec. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep, good. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go over a couple of things. And these are pretty much the only thing that is just available to our LAER agents. You do need to be a LAER agent for these couple of things. It's just some marketing programs that we have available for our LAER agents. So the two things, first thing is Zara, and then I'm going to go over the social media programs that we have. So you heard Stacy talk about Zara. So Zara is a design platform, a marketing platform. It's a lot like Canva, but it is connected directly with the MLS. So we're able to take advantage of that connection to make it way easier to create some of these documents for you. So one of the things that we include with Zara, and Zara is a whole design platform. We do have all of the different templates that we have on Canva available, but one of the things that we have created or that we have enabled for our agents is this marketing bundle. So when your home goes live on the MLS, and also when it has any kind of status changes, so when it's under agreement or sold, you'll receive an email from Zara that leads you over to the Zara platform. We create these marketing pieces for you. They're done automatically by Zara. They're connected with the MLS, so they're very easy to go in and change and update. You will receive an email that looks just like this. When you click this, you can go over to your Zara accounts. Now, if you haven't signed into Zara yet, or you need any help with that, if you go to our LAER GPS page, so that's laergps.com, and do a quick search for Zara, it gives you all of the instructions on how to sign in to Zara. So let me give you a quick demo of our Zara platform. Let me just find that particular page. Here we go. So I'm signed into Zara. I do have a Zara training video that went up on our YouTube. We did it last week, so if you want to check that out, I go into more detail on how to sign in, what all of these different sections do. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what this platform can do. Right, so like I mentioned, you will receive an email, and it'll bring you over to your listing. So any Any listing that you have will show up in this My Listings section. If you don't see it, let us know. We can make sure it works, that everything is connected. But you can also run these playbooks. They're called playbooks, which is sort of a package of different marketing pieces. You can run them manually as well. So in this left-hand section, if we click on playbooks, we can generate any of these, right? So let's say I want to generate a just sold playbook. It will ask you for an MLS ID, and this is where we see our connection with the MLS. So I'll just put in this MLS ID. We click on next. We can verify the agent, or we can even choose a different agent if you're covering for someone for an open house. And then we're going to run the playbook. Now, the playbook does take some time for it to generate, just because it's generating different pieces. It takes about maybe 5 minutes for it to generate. So you can use that time to maybe get up, take a break, get some coffee. I did generate one of these ahead of time, so I'm going to go down over here to my listings, and it will show up here under listings. And you'll also receive an email from Zara saying that your playbook has been generated. So, you can, I went to playbooks, right? I clicked on generate. You can generate one of these, take a break, and then you'll receive an email once it's done. In this case, I already have one generated. Let's see if we can find it. Here it is for 60 Abrams. So we have, I generated a just listed playbook. So this is the whole package. We have social media pieces. We have a just listed flyer. We even have a postcard, as well as a showing sheet. Now, any of these I can click on and use either directly. You can connect your social media accounts directly to Zara. So if I click on post, I can choose any of these. I think I have the Facebook connected on my end. One thing, you do need a Facebook page to post on Facebook, as in a sort of a business page, right? So not a personal account. My recommendation is to make that business page, and then on your personal account, you can share the post that you posted on the business page. Now, you're not going to see this many. I do manage a lot of pages, so I'm just going to click on continue. And then Zara will actually generate a caption based on the data from the MLS, right? So from the description, from the number of rooms, bathrooms, bedrooms. So, and also from your contact information. So we see that it pulled in all this data. It even puts in your contact information, and it includes some suggested hashtags, right? This is AI, so you want to make sure that you go through it to make sure that it's not breaking any kind of rules. And then if you're happy with it, you can click on post. I'm not going to do it here because it will post to the page. But if you want to rewrite it too, you can click on rewrite, and it will rewrite your caption. If you don't want to use AI, you can just delete everything and then add in your own caption as you see fit. So you can see that it has now finished these documents for our just sold. So we can go there, and I can show you some other features. Okay, so you can see this playbook is a little different. This is for just sold. It's the same process. You click on one. You can click on post, but you can also go in and edit any of these. So if you click on edit, it will then bring up the design view here. And as you see, it brings in all the information and photos from the MLS. So we have all of our listing photos, right? You can access this if you accidentally close it. If you go to real estate, if you click on this real estate button and then click on listing photos, here we have all of the images for this particular listing. You also have access to listing information. So anything that's on the MLS, in terms of like any of these features, any of the info that is public on the MLS, you can bring over. And also your information. So your name, your photo, etc. That's all on here. Now, to use these, you can post directly by clicking on share and then posting on social media, but you can also download these as an image, right? So we have various formats available. We have JPEGs, PDFs, PNGs, and all you do is just click on the format and download, and this will then download your image. You can use this to post on your phone. You have tons of options. You don't have to post directly from Zara, but it's sort of the most convenient way of doing it. And then another thing I wanted to show is, let's go back to our just listed section here. We have a flyer, which if we click on download and print as a PDF, you can print at home, right? But you also have access for some of these templates, not all of them, but the majority of these templates, you do have a connection with Express Docs. So if you have an account with Express Docs, you can send it out to print directly through them. So if I go to print, I can click on this Express Docs. Sometimes it'll give you some warnings about mistakes. You can always ignore them. You can send it over to Express Docs, but like I mentioned before, you can download this as a PDF and then print out at any of our offices. So that's the PDF that we downloaded. Just like the other ones, you can change any of this info, right? You can drag and drop photos. Let's say you want to feature this image here. You can just drag and drop them. And just like that, you're in and out. Now we have other templates available. I'm not going to go through all of them, but that was just the playbooks, right? If we go to templates, and we're always updating these. So for example, we have content for buyers. We just uploaded our Monopoly board too. We saw that one in Canva, but now you also have access to it here through Zara. It's the same process. It takes in your information, and then you can upload and customize it to your liking. In this case, it didn't grab my photo, but I can very easily replace it. I think it's because it's expecting a full body, but I can click replace. I can choose from the MLS, or I can grab my photo from the MLS. I can grab my profile picture, but you can also upload your own image from your computer. It brings in your contact information and everything else, and then when you're ready, you can download this and download it as a PDF and then print out. So that's Zara. Again, it's a very quick overview. There's even more Zara templates that you have access to that you can check out. But definitely check out our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/LAER training, where I go more in depth to all of the Zara design platform. And then I try to do a Zara training every month. So you can subscribe to the next, or you can sign up for the next one and join me, especially if you have any questions about Zara. So moving on, the second program that we have for our agents is our monthly social media. So at the beginning of the month, we send out 6 to 8 monthly social media posts that cover 4 weeks of content. We send this out via email and text message. If you don't see that text message, let us know. We can make sure that everything is working, but you should always receive that email. If you don't see that stuff, if you're a LAER agent, please let us know, and we can make sure that everything is working. Now, we do send this out monthly. It covers 4 weeks of content, but on top of that, you also have access to our social media library, which has thousands now, just almost 5 years of compiled social media that we have created. You have access to that, and you can supplement your social media posts with that content. Those are all Canva templates that you can use. We include also suggested captions and hashtags too, not just the image, but also the captions. So let me give you a quick demo of what that looks like. So you'll receive an email that looks just like this, right? We have our this is a little different because this is a multiple image post, right? So if I click here, let's see if we can open this up in Canva. Just gonna sign in real quick. you'll see that this is actually a multi-image post, right? So the point is that you download this, and when you post it on, for example, Instagram, the client can, or the audience can kind of slide through the images, right? So this is something that we are kind of testing out, but we also have traditional one image posts as well, and then we also have our suggested caption, which is in this case for the email you can copy and paste. And any of these you can download either directly and use them automatically, but we also have these links to Canva. Like I mentioned before, you do have access to our LAER Marketing Center. If we go to our social media library, this is where you can find even more content. We have Facebook covers, mindset, and quotes. If we click on mindset and quotes, you can go through all of these, right? If you click on see more, you'll see even more. But you can do a search for these. We have different categories and searches that you can do. You can find something that works for you. So that is our social media program. We have tons and tons of content. Definitely check out our YouTube channel too, for our social media program that we run with Renee. That's hosted by Renee. All right, that's it for me. And let us know if you have any questions. happyagent@laerrealty.com.
All right, awesome stuff. I want to go back for 1 minute, and then I'm going back to our LAER Agent Services because we didn't quite finish the marketing section here. Before we move into some of the agent growth and development and other tools that we have here, I wanted to go back to the button that I skipped out of a little while ago to cover later. And that's under this link. This is signs, apparel, and print marketing. And on this link, if you're a LAER agent, you can go order all kinds of LAER signs, LAER apparel, things like that. But if you scroll down to the very bottom of that screen under print marketing, there's some cool stuff that I wanted to show you. So specifically,
We can't see your screen, Stacey.
yeah, no, I'm resharing it right now. Okay, there we go. So under the print marketing section here, there's a couple of resources that I think are amazing for any real estate agent. The first one is MLS mailings. So I am a fan of mailings in general, only because it's a way to brand yourself where you don't have a lot of competition. While social media is a great place to brand, you have lots of competition, because if your people that are following you are also friends with other real estate agents on social media, then it all kind of gets mixed together. But by showing up in somebody's mailbox, you're going to have less competition in general. One of the ways to do that is with just listed and just sold mailers. So every time you list a house, sending out a mailer, and every time you sell a house, sending out a mailer to the neighborhood to say 100 houses in the local vicinity. And MLS mailings makes that very easy because it hooks directly to your MLS. So as a real estate agent, gone are the days where you sit at your desks like putting labels on a mailer. That is not a good use of your time. You got to use services like MLS mailings that have this set it and forget it system for you, that you just set it up once, you put your photo, your contact information, and your logo, and then you tell MLS mailings, every time I list a property, I want 100 just listed postcards to go out to the surrounding houses. And every time I sell a house, I want 100 postcards to go to everybody in the vicinity of that house I sold. This system will set that up for you. So you don't have to remember each time you list or sell a house, they'll do it automatically. And the pricing isn't bad. So roughly, if you're doing a standard size postcard, it's about $104 to send 100 postcards. And if you're doing a jumbo postcard, it's $136 to send to 100 houses. A set it and forget it program for your business. The next one I wanted to recommend, and by the way, on all of these, I don't get anything for recommending these. So I don't want you to think I'm recommending these because they're paying me. I just think they're really good products, all of them. The next one I'm a huge fan of is TPMCO, the Personal Marketing Company. So TPMCO.com. This is what I love. They have all kinds of stuff you can do here. For example, they have a really cool expired mailing campaign where they'll keep sending mailers to expired listings in your market. But the one I specifically wanted to show you, I think I always forget which one I want to send. They have so many great products, but I have a couple that are my favorite ones. Nope, not this one. The one that I'm going to show you, it has a $49 one-time charge. As soon as I can find which link I need to click on, because I always get it wrong. It's a $49 one-time charge, and they send over 5 years, they send a whole bunch of different mailers to your clients. So it is a mix of, here it is, $48 one-time charge, and your past client will get 21 mailings over 5 years for one charge of $48. The reason I like this one is because according to the National Association of Realtors, something like 88% of buyers who just bought their home say they would work with their real estate agent again, but the actual number 5-10 years later, the actual number of people who work with the same real estate agent again is very low. It's like 11%. And in my opinion, that is because in our business, there's so many tasks we have to do in our business. And by once we are working with somebody for several months to get them into the house that they want, what sometimes happens is once they get into the house, we now are moving on to the next customer that we're working with, and we might forget to put the customer we just sold into some sort of campaign to stay in touch. And that's what this does for you, so that you pay once $48, and now for 5 years, even if you forget to reach out and keep in contact with that customer, they're going to hear from you. So even if you forget, you're still staying in touch. And it's great mailers. So it's a mix of postcard mailers, letter mailers, and these great little magazines that are customized to you. But how can you be, like, for $48, it's like an insurance policy that you're not going to forget a past customer, because if you forget them, they're going to forget you. Next, Wise Pelican. This is also a mailing company. The reason I like Wise Pelican is because they're really good about always putting a call to action on the postcard or flyer that you've created. And they even have a system. What they say is you should always have a call to action, such as get your free CMA. With like a QR code, scan this and get your free CMA. Well, Wise Pelican will set that up for you. Even if you don't have a database program right now for your leads to go right into your database, they'll create it for you. So the leads will go into a little system that emails you that somebody wants a CMA on their property. Plus, the other cool thing about Wise Pelican is it will also hook into your MLS. So if you're creating a brochure or a postcard, you don't have to like drag and drop photos of the property. You just plug in your MLS number and it's going to pull up all the property photos. It'll design your postcard for you, and then you can just mix and match the picture. So very, very easy to use. Next, Yellow Letters Complete. Yellow Letters Complete is wonderful for handwritten cards. So if you want to send handwritten notes to people, Yellow Letters is the one that can do that for you. They do little yellow letters, which many people who focus on like short sales or pre-foreclosure properties will do these little yellow letters. But also they'll do any type of handwritten note. So if you want to send like a handwritten note of thanks to your customers for the holidays and you don't want to sit and handwrite 200 notes, they'll do it for you. And then last is RSP, data-driven marketing. Looks like they're having a issue as well because I know this site is working. I was on it yesterday. RSP is also a mailing company, and their company has something really unique, especially for our Florida agents. Let's say in Florida specifically, we have lots of these big complexes like homeowners associations that they'll do these newsletters that look like it's a marketing newsletter for the association, and they'll list like all the recent sales, things like that. So it's a pretty impressive mailer that you just have to press a couple of buttons and it pulls all the data in. So you don't have to go like research and find all these properties that sold and pull them in. The system will do it for you. So those are a couple cool marketing programs that we recommend for agents just because it makes life easier as far as your marketing goes. Next, let me go back. I think I saw David on here, and I wanted to have. Oh, good. David is here. Okay. So one of the guests I wanted to bring on, David's never done one of our boot camps before, but we recently partnered with David from Sell Mom's House, and he's helping many of our agents tap into a whole new source of business through a unique coaching and training program that he has developed through the years of work that he's done helping people sell Mom's House. So I want to introduce David and let him talk for a few minutes about this program. So welcome, David.
Thank you, Stacy. Happy to be here. Hello, everybody. I'd like to just briefly overview Sell Mom's House for you. It's basically a method to get to one of the largest turnovers of properties ever, and that is the aging senior market. What we've developed is a turnkey way to create recurring listing sources. Let's emphasize the word recurring. So basically what we do is we network with people who help seniors already. It's a great time to be a senior, and there's a large provider network of various companies that focus on seniors. And that ranges from assisted living to independent living. You see them all around when you're driving, and also senior centers, but there's many, many more. There's elder law attorneys, there's geriatric care managers, there's a whole support network for seniors. So what Sell Mom's House does is we visit them with face-to-face marketing, and we tell them what we do to help seniors to transition. Because very often seniors that want to transition go to these places, especially the assisted independent living locations, to find a place for mom and dad to move. And part of that is selling a house. So I think we can all agree that obtaining customers is one of the most difficult parts of real estate. And Sell Mom's House has a methodology to do that by contacting people who are in the business of helping seniors every day. And our message to them is, let us help you achieve your business goals, and let us help you to help others. And this can work for your circle of influence and for other people as well, to help anyone in their network who's a senior, or the families of those seniors who are involved with a real estate transfer. So one of the biggest things that's very difficult when you have to move any customer is, of course, the downsizing and preparing of the house. It's a hassle. We all have too many possessions, and when it comes time to move, there's a whole methodology we've developed to help them do that kind of seamlessly and remove the stress of changing their address. So when we meet with these people, we emphasize that we can help them achieve their goals and help people transition. We focus on transitions, not just transactions. get people from one location to another. And that distinguishes you from other realtors because many of them focus only on selling the house, and they don't focus on all the other stressful things that can be involved in moving from one location to another. So these people at the assisted and independent living locations are in the business of renting apartments with services. That's what they do. And seniors move into those apartments and they pay a good amount of money per month, and they receive meals and services that are appropriate for seniors. But what we do is we approach them to do events for seniors. We do seminars and downsizing events where we're basically sharing our methodology and a free downsizing guide that they can use to help people to reach their customers they're already talking to and convert them into renters. In a way, they're realtors that focus on just a single building or a set of buildings, but they're in the business also of moving people from one location to another. So don't want to go on too long about this, but I can tell you that it works. It's a proven technology methodology. And our end goal is to develop recurring relationships. So we know these people by name, the people that serve the seniors. We go to various networking events where they mingle with each other because we're all in the same business of helping seniors. And we develop long-term relationships with them where we become the trusted realtor that they call when they have to fill an apartment or when they have a senior that is stressed out because of the necessity of moving, sometimes in a hurry, sometimes in a crisis. We also go to rehab hospitals and other places, and we catch them when they're in the status of making a decision. The support network for seniors is so vast that you can get lost in it and spend all your time talking to people who never really intersect with someone that they can refer to you as a realtor. So what we do is we focus on those crisis points and we intervene on their behalf to help them reach whatever goal they're doing with the seniors, and that involves transitioning. And we help simplify that whole entire process. And of course, in doing so, we also meet their employees, we meet the families of the seniors themselves, and it's a great time to be a senior because of all these support services. And it's wonderful to network with all these providers who also buy and sell homes and also have children looking to be first-time home buying seminars. And we're expanding our series to include the families and employees of these people as well. So it's really nice to be associated with LAER. I'm very impressed with all the services. I became a LAER client, by the way, when one of their agents sold me my current house and I moved. And I was very impressed with Stacy and her whole organization, the support services they provide, which were far and away above anything I'd seen after 15, 20 years here in the real estate business, doing mortgages, doing rehabs, and buying and selling homes. So the largest, just to summarize, the largest transition of wealth ever is occurring as baby boomers retire. They oftentimes do have to move of necessity, but whether they're moving of necessity or choice or right sizing, we're there to help them, and we get referred to them by people they already trust and know who are servicing them in some other fashion as a senior. So I do appreciate the time to reach out here and say hello to folks. And if you have any questions, you can write to Happy Agent, Happy Agent at LAER.com, and just reference Sell Mom's House, and we can get you some additional information. Thank you, Stacy.
As well, we have a page at laerrealty.com/sell mom's house. And you can fill that out and David will reach out to you. But it's an incredible program. We have about 10 or so agents that are the first that have been working through the program. But basically, David meets with people on our team on a weekly basis. We've put together tons of resources that David developed over the years for getting out to assisted living communities and getting appointments. So Sell Mom's House has a wonderful reputation already amongst the assisted living communities, and it's been a phenomenal way for agents to build an additional pillar of business. So if this sounds like something you might be interested in, go to laerrealty.com/sell mom's house, fill out the form. It doesn't commit you to anything other than just a quick phone call with David to see if you might be a good match for the program. So thank you, David.
Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate it.
All right, let's see. Back to, we have about a half an hour left and tons of stuff that we still have to cover. But let me go to, we're going to go back just for a moment to LAER Agent Services. And then I'm going to have Ashley give you a demo on a really cool product. Okay, we're back at the LAER Agent Services Dashboard. For a minute, I want to take you back to the 10 things you're writing down to execute on after you leave today's program. You are dedicating a whole morning to learning new tools and pieces for your business. We want to make sure you're going to go execute on some of these. So have a piece of paper, write down, you're going to create your listing presentation, your buyer presentation, your packages, your buyer, seller, and investor packages. You're going to go create. We've already done all the work for you. You're going to sign up for MLS mailings. You're going to go get your green designation. You're going to sign up to be part of the commercial network so that you can participate in all the great commercial classes that we're doing. You're going to check out Sell Mom's House at laerrealty.com/sell mom's house. So much stuff for you to execute on, and we haven't even gotten past the first section of the morning. So we got through all of the marketing, branding, and presentations, but I want to spend a little bit of time over here under agent growth and development. So first thing, if you look at this first button here, classes, meetings, and coaching, there's some really important tools here. Let's see. The first thing I want to take you guys to is the YouTube channel, our YouTube training channel. Just in case you haven't checked it out yet or subscribed to it, if you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/LAER training, click on that and subscribe to this. We have, look at here, 448 training classes, and our classes are chock full of information. So let's go check out all of these classes. We have it all nice and organized for you. But if you subscribe, you'll never miss anything that we do. Each week we put out 3 or 4 new classes. So by subscribing to our station, you'll just get a notification each time we add a new class. So make sure that you go and subscribe to this station, because there's just so much great content. Here's the problem. In our industry, there's a ton of really bad training classes. You're never going to get anything that's junk here. It's all good stuff for your business. So go subscribe to youtube.com/LAER training. Now, if you prefer to take classes live, like many of you are on the live class right now for our boot camp, you can go see our event schedule of all of our upcoming classes right here at laerrealty.com/training, and you'll see everything coming up, and you'll see this is a pretty packed calendar, and this is December. We tone it down for December because people have events to go to, but as you can see, there's a lot of classes happening every single month, and by heading over to laerrealty.com/training, you can sign up to take the live class. They are webinar, so they're just like this, but there's an instructor on there, so you can ask questions and interact with the group. If you are interested in mindset and quantum success, then we also have a wonderful class that I host every Monday morning called Quantum Sparks. You can download that at laerrealty.com/quantum sparks, or go check it out on Spotify. But you can go see, I think we've done 30 plus classes so far. And it's all about, here's what's most important for you to know, is that when it comes to your success in real estate, many people mistakenly believe that their success is a byproduct of their real estate skills, like how good they are at the act of selling real estate. But your success is not contingent upon that. All of us can figure out how to fill out a form, like a blank form, an offer form. Any of you are well equipped to do that. Your success is a byproduct of what is going on in your head. So that's what we work on each week on a short 20 to 30-minute class called Quantum Sparks. Every Monday at 10:30 is the live version. And then you can go watch the recorded version at laerrealty.com/Quantum Sparks. Now, if you're a LAER agent, you need to also go download the LAER Elite Agent app. This cool app has all of our training classes, plus all kinds of cool goal setting tools in there. So make sure you download the app and check out all of the classes that we put in there, because it's like YouTube, except the upside to the app is we can also include like little workbooks and worksheets to help you through the classes, stuff that we can't add to the YouTube station. Let's see. I'm going to go back. By the way, if you're a new agent, we also have a wonderful new agent resource center here for brand new agents, where we have all kinds of classes on how to fill out all the different forms and understanding agency. We also wrote a great 50-page book about the fundamentals of real estate, the houses, like knowing like the different heating systems and what to look for in foundations. Like it's really a complete overview of houses. So make sure you head over to that section. All of this is located under agent growth and development, under classes, meetings, and coaching. Next, business plans and growth systems. This is the time of year that agents really like to dig into business planning and growth systems. One of the pieces that we're extremely proud of is our Algorwin program. We call it Algorwin. It's putting together two things: algorithm, meaning if you do a certain input, you can expect a certain output. There is an algorithm to success in real estate. And if you stick to the algorithm, you're going to win in real estate. So we built it. This Algorwin system is a complete workbook. You can download it here under the Algorwin system. And not only do we give you a workbook, step-by-step instructions to building a real estate business so you can get to 30 transactions a year, we also give you 12 classes that go with the workbook to help you walk through the process of building a successful business. And for agents that want accountability, we also have a coaching program that goes with that. So everything is available under this link, Algorwin system. If you're more like traditional business planning is your thing, then we also wrote a wonderful 45-page business planning guide for real estate agents. This is a typical business planning guide. This is like, has you kind of break down what you did last year and evaluate where your business came from, things like that. And then also we have this other system. One of the things we often say in our training classes is that, let's just say you're doing $2 million a year in annual sales business, but you really want to be doing 10 million. In order for you to have a huge jump in your business next year, you must become a different version of yourself. So this simple plan is one that we put together to help you consider who you need to be to get to the level of business you wish to be doing, so that you can bridge the gap from who you are right now to who you need to be. It's just a different version of who you already are in order to achieve that goal. So there's some wonderful business planning tools here. It's important to dig into these because these are not all traditional pieces. These are things that we built from having 25 plus years in the business, evaluating, watching, coaching some of the best agents on the planet, and building programs to duplicate that success no matter who you are. Next, so that's all under agent growth and development. We also have a section here for continuing ed classes. That's simply just a partnership with the CE shop. So if you need CE classes, I like CE shop because they keep a record of all of your CE certificates, number one. Number two, if you are licensed in many states like I am, it's much easier because they'll tell you which classes will work for all the states you're licensed in. So instead of you having to take 30 or 40 hours of classes for each state, most of the states you can take the same class, so you're not duplicating your efforts. And then down here we have some more toolbox tools. We'll get to, actually, I think what we'll do is I first want to show you, you got to see from Craig, our whole sustainability section. We also have, this is really important, an agent safety section. So I encourage every agent to go check out this section at laerrealty.com/safety. And you can, first of all, we recently had Black Ops Tactical Consulting come on and do a program for our agents on situational awareness. It's a fabulous program. You can check it out right here. As well, we have all kinds of downloadable guides. We wrote our own safety guide. As well, we have all different links to some cool sites that will help protect you while you're doing your real estate business. Little bit further down, we have our directory, our agent directory, and our LAER office directory of all of our offices. And then at the very bottom is the brokerage blog. This is just stuff happening within the brokerage. So like we put out each month our top 25 agent lists, as well as top agent lists for each of the markets we do business in, things like that. Let's go back to where we started today. And that was with our LAER Program and Services Guide, the 38-page guide of all the tools and resources available to our agents. If you'll recall, I said that the book is divided into 4 sections. First is marketing and branding, and that's where we dove into LAER Agent Services. We went through all the Canva tools that are available for you. You got to see from Sergio a wonderful presentation on the Zara marketing platform for LAER agents. Basically does all of your marketing for you, and you don't have to go put your picture in, your contact info every time because the system does it for you. As far as tools for doing market analysis, the 2 tools that we typically recommend are Cloud CMA and RPR, 2 of our favorite tools. We also have a couple of cool magazines for our agents. The second section of this booklet is all on technology. So I want to spend a few minutes before we wrap up today talking about a couple pieces of technology that are really cool. Now, one of the things that agents typically ask when they're shopping around for real estate brokerages is, are there any tech fees to be with your company? And at LAER, the answer is maybe. First, we have a bunch of complementary technology, meaning we don't charge anything extra to get .loop or Cloud CMA, the premier version. We don't charge for the G Suite, Showing Time, the Zara Cloud, the Agently production app. So a lot of the technology we offer is just available for every agent that joins. We also have an optional $39 per month tech fee. So the agents that opt into the tech fee get 3 additional products. The 3 additional products are Fellow, which is a set it and forget it marketing system. I'll tell you more about that in a second. You also get an agent website. And 3, you get Real Scout. Now let's go back to Fellow. Fellow is a product where you put names and email addresses into your database, and every 2 weeks, Fellow's going to send those people their automated valuation of their property, a rough idea of what their property is worth. So what's cool about Fellow is, first of all, they make it really clear to the consumer that this is an automated valuation. So they encourage the consumer to get a CMA from a real estate agent to get the real value, but here's an automated valuation, and it gives them a little page that shows other properties that are contributing towards that value or creating that value. But what's cool about Fellow is it ranks your entire database. So in your entire, let's say you have 200 people in your database, it'll rank it and it'll say, hey, these are the 5 people you should be paying attention to, because these 5 are very likely going to sell their house in the next 12 months. And that is based on an algorithm of information. What are they clicking on? How much do they owe? When did they buy their house? So the system watches all that and ranks the database. So really cool product. It'll also, every time they send the consumer their updated home value, there's a button there where the consumer could say, I'd be interested in a cash offer on the house. So that gets sent to the agent. So you know this person would sell for the right price. And you'll get CMA requests through it all the time because of the way the system encourages the consumer to reach out to you for a market analysis. So leads come through the system all the time. The agent website is a beautiful website. We deliver it to you completely done. We have a whole team that makes a beautiful website. And so although these sites are templated, meaning you can go change whatever you wish on your site, usually you don't have to, because we deliver it so that it's beautiful. And the third part of the $39 a month tech bundle is Real Scout. Real Scout is important because, as I mentioned earlier, you really don't want your consumer shopping for a home on Zillow because you risk losing that customer to another real estate agent. So why do people go to Zillow? In my opinion, the reason why a consumer goes to Zillow is because many real estate agents are using the MLS search for their customer. So every MLS offers like a free search platform where you can put the customer in there and it will notify that customer when new listings hit the market. But many MLSs, the search is kind of dull. It emails them once a day. There's not lots of photos. So it's nothing exciting for your buyers to look at each day. Real Scout's different. Real Scout is like having your own Zillow. The customer receives text messages as houses hit the market. They get emails and they're full of photos. So the system works like Zillow in that it's constantly putting pictures of pretty houses that are available for sale in front of your customer. The best part is, though, when the customer's interested in the house, it's not going to a Zillow agent. It's going back to you. So I want to have Ashley from our LAER Tools team give you a little demo of how Real Scout operates and how you can use it for your business.
All right. Replace current share. Yes. Share my screen. All right. Thank you, Stacy. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. So with Real Scout, what I do want to mention too is that when a client is matched to a property, they can like it or dislike it, but they can also like certain amenities or certain features. They can like the location, they can like the yard. So instead of them just liking a property and disliking it, they can like every aspect of that property, and it's not leaving you questioning what do they like, what do they not like. You get all of that information in your dashboard. So of course, there's an app for everything. There's a client app. So if you have a client that says, hey, I want to download that app for me to use, they're going to want to search Real Scout Home Search. If you are an agent with Real Scout, you're going to want to do the Real Scout Agent Dashboard. The way to tell the difference is the agent app has a black background with a white house. The consumer app is a white background with a black house. And also the agent is going to have the pro banner on the left. I'm going to go through this a little quicker than we do just because we're a little short on time. There's 2 unique links that you can use for onboarding and for potential clients to set up their own search. Each link is unique to each agent. If you have multiple MLSs, you can verify by the cross MLS when you set up a client search, a market activity alert, or a home value alert. You would just select the data feed and then you would select the specific MLS. If you see the cross MLS search, it's going to search all the MLSs that you have associated with your Real Scout account. So to select a specific one, you would just click on the drop-down one. So for this one, I have my Maine, my Massachusetts, and my New Hampshire license. So for this example, I was just selected on MLS PIN. So that is how you can tell which MLS you are searching. How do you add a new client? Super simple. Top right corner, add contact/alert, fill in their email, first name, last name, phone number, it's optional, source is optional. And then last year, Real Scout introduced what they call tags. So you could tag them as a buyer, and seller, or other. Once you create the client, it's going to bring you to the criteria fields that you can fill out similar to MLS. And then once you save the search and you assign the search to a contact, it's going to ask you, how often do you want your alerts to go out? ASAP, once a day, in the evening or in the morning. Do you want to hand pick them? So if you click hand pick, you're just going to have to come in, see what matches were matched to that specific client, and then manually send them to that client. Or you can select ASAP and it automatically sends them. What I like about Real Scout is that I get an email as well. So if I'm on the road showing property all day, I still am getting emails of what my clients are being matched to, and I can see all of that data. You can also import contacts from a CSV file if you have them in a database. There's different ways you can search in Real Scout. So you can draw your own outline. You can do a polygon. You can draw a rectangle. You can do a radius. So there's different ways that you can search. You can also search by a town. You can search by a county. Real Scout also allows you to search by a school district or a school name. So if you have somebody who needs to be in a particular school district, you can search by that school district, and any property within that school district boundary that matches their criteria, they will be matched to. And then you still have your zip code, county, condo association name, development name, or subdivision name. If you need to update a client, so let's say I have Stacy in my Real Scout database as a client, and she says, Ashley, I want to increase my budget a little bit from X amount to Y amount. You would just go over on the left-hand side, click on contacts, click on the contact that you want to update their search, and then you would select under the alert over on the right under actions, there's an edit button. You would click on the edit button. And then if you were wanting to update their search, you would do edit filters, and then it'll bring up the criteria pages again. And you can just search or not search, but you can update the criteria fields that they want to update. And then once you update those, just make sure you save it. And once you save it, it's going to ask you if you want to send any new properties to that client, if there are any new matches. Auto nurture. So if you have a client who has a specific search, but they start looking at something outside of the parameters of the search that you established, Real Scout's going to cater to what they're looking at as well as the search that you established. Monthly market activity report. So this report is good for buyers and sellers, and it just shows you the number of buyer interactions, the number of active buyers within a specific area within a specific amount of time. It also has a graph and top viewed listings. Anything that's a top viewed property is going to be in this report as well. So I use this if I'm going to write an offer and it's a top viewed property. I'm going to strategize, how can we make our offer more attractive to the sellers? The same thing for sellers. You can use it on how to properly price a property. If you have a seller who thinks their property is worth X, but it's really worth Y, because of your market data, your CMA, you can also use this report to show them that, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is what the data is showing for your specific area over the last 30 days. Real Scout's better than a website. It's above average search experience. New property alerts daily as soon as they hit the market. It's more customizable as well. Like Stacy mentioned earlier in Zillow, it's outdated half the time. Half the time, 90% of the properties have been under contract for a week or two by the time it's already on Zillow. So Zillow's not really helping your client. And then there's an app and you can integrate it with major lead platforms. And then the last page is just, if you're not talking about Zillow, why you should. So I know I did this a little quicker just because we were a little short on time this month, but that is Real Scout in a nutshell.
All right, awesome stuff. So we have a couple minutes left. I just want to go back to, let me reshare. Okay. We are back at the LAER Program and Services Guide, which you can download at laerrealty.com/success tools. And we finished the first section, which was all marketing. The second section was technology. We did talk already about many of our career development tools. One of the links I showed was the LAER Elite Edge app. That is the LAER Agent Productivity app. I also talked about the Algorand program. This is the program we use to help get agents to 30 transactions per year. It's step-by-step instructions to building a successful real estate business. But for agents that also like an additional level of support and accountability, we have a phenomenal coaching program. You can learn more about this at laerrealty.com/LAER coaching, and it all ties into the Algorand program. So it all works off of the same workbook, the same techniques for building a successful business. Last but not least, I want to just go through, this is all just stuff about our brokerage in general, but I wanted to show you one other reason to download this guide. Under agent support services, it talks a lot about our Happy Agent support system. And basically the way our brokerage works is we have an entire team that's here to support our 800 real estate agents. And the way our agents get support is just emailing happyagent@laerrealty.com, and the request gets assigned to whoever is best suited to answer the question quickly and knowledgeably for our agent. So if you're a LAER agent and you ever need anything, just email happyagent@laerrealty and a team member will reach back and help you. But I wanted to make sure that everybody got to see this. On page 32 of the guide, there's a page called Generating Leads. This page lists all the companies on the left side that are referral fee-based lead platforms. And on the right side, it's all subscription-based lead platforms. So these are all the companies that will send leads to real estate agents in return for a referral fee. So make sure that if you're looking for additional business, that you click through these, because you can sign up for each one and you just sign an agreement that says any business that you receive from them, that you'll pay them a referral fee for that business. So one thing I want to say about this is that some of them have waiting lists. Don't let that stop you, because for many of these companies, that's how they weed out agents. They're looking for agents that are going to follow up many times with a customer that they send to them. So one of the ways they find agents that are going to follow up regularly is by putting a requirement or putting in a system where they have a waiting list to see if you're going to keep pushing and keep going for it. But these all work. All of these programs offer leads to agents. In fact, one of our agents in November closed a $4.2 million sale from Agent Pronto. So sign up for each of these. You never know where your next customer is going to come from. So with that, we are at the end of the program. At the very back of the guide, we list all of our offices. We tell our agents, you're welcome to use any of our offices. If you're a LAER agent, you can go to laerrealty.com/office access and include your information in there. And our system will send you the information to get into those offices. If you're not a LAER agent and you want to learn more about our brokerage, you can just email me at happyagent@laerrealty.com. Before we part ways, I want to make sure that as soon as you leave today's program, that you spend 5 minutes working on that list of things you're going to go execute on. We covered so much stuff today that you could easily create a list of 10 things that you're going to work on executing on. Really important to execute, because that's where you'll start to build your business. We don't want you spending an entire morning and then going off and doing other things and forgetting about all the great content we shared today. We want you to execute. With that, I want to thank you. We didn't have many on today because it's a holiday month, but I appreciate those that did. I hope you got a lot out of today's program, and we look forward to seeing you on future classes with LAER. Thank you to my co-hosts Sergio and Craig and Ashley and David. Thanks for joining me today, and wishing you all a great holiday season. Thanks, everyone.